The Minnesota Council on Disability honors the life and legacy of Margot Imdieke Cross.
On the left side of a split screen, a woman, Margot, speaks on the telephone. On the right side is a sign language interpreter.
Margot. This determined, influential, successful changemaker was a woman of integrity. Margot was tough, tender, and tenacious, fierce, firm, and forthright. She was wise, humorous, authentic, kind, smart, loyal, generous, respected, and yes, even friendly.
Photos of Margot throughout her life.
In rural Stearns County, a leader was born.
She was a farm girl.
Margot Imdieke first used a wheelchair as a toddler, and longtime friend Greg Lace says that stopped her from nothing.
She went out to the rock pile with her brother, and she said, it's all rocky, and he said, you're going to have to get here on yourself. And she said, well, how am I going to do that? And he said, just figure it out. And she did.
A photo of a young Margot on a publication called A Guide to Recreation Opportunities and Their Accessibility.
Margot never, and we mean never, backed down when institutions, cultural norms, governments, businesses, stadiums, or anyone or any entity created barrier after barrier to access.
Photos of Margot in a government meeting, at a table with friends. Video of Margot at the meeting as she is introduced.
Next we have Margot Imdieke Cross, who's had the title of Accessibility Specialist since 1987 with the Minnesota State Council on Disability, where she has worked for over 28 years. In this capacity, Ms. Cross, a certified access specialist and wheelchair user, provides technical assistance, training, and community insight on state and federal access requirements, emergency preparedness, civil rights issues, and disability awareness. Most notably, Margot served as a Minneapolis Civil Rights Commissioner for 11 years, served on the Board of Directors of Access Press for 7 years, and served as a member and chair of the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on People with Disabilities for 20 years. Margot was also the first recipient of the Charlie Smith Award.
Her steadfast resolve led to her being a highly respected disability rights advocate and renowned ADA building code expert. She routinely outsmarted discrimination and beat back ableism.
Photos of Margot as she works with people and speaks in front of groups.
She educated and argued, spoke out and influenced. She changed minds.
Margot at the offices of Amy Klobuchar.
Margot received awards for her work on so many things.
Margot holds awards at different ceremonies.
One she was particularly proud of was the Twins Stadium at the time, the most accessible stadium in the United States. Plus, the great reward it was to see the Twins play, joined by her family and friends.
Margot with family and friends. Many of them wear Twins clothes.
What a day. Another huge personal and professional accomplishment for Margot was her dedication and work on the Help America Vote Act.
Text: The Help America Vote Act, HAVA, of 2002 gives you the right to vote privately and independently. It says that all polling places should be physically accessible and that they should have an accessible voting booth with a voting machine that you can use with or without help.
She worked with Secretaries of State Mary Kiffmeyer, Mark Ritchie, and Steve Simon. And true to her way in the world, Margot helped America vote. No tribute to Margot would be complete without a roll through the ADA moments.
Margot was at the forefront of the disability rights movement, attending the historic signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990.
And so many of us experienced such injustice in just trying to live our lives.
Photos of Margot at protests.
We have to safeguard our rights.
Margot's longtime friend, Claudia Fugli, on Margot getting the protests and organizing done.
Well, I knew Margot before accessibility was even known. Things were just not easy for anybody. Margot basically said, that's it. We have got to get our equal rights.
People in wheelchairs under a banner with a Martin Luther King Jr. quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere."
This was before society even knew what equal rights were. Right? They didn't even know what accommodations were, or if they did, they totally ignored it. She gave us the call to say, it's time. It's time for us to speak out. And she coordinated a lot of the rallies, the protests.
People in wheelchairs inside the rotunda of a Capitol building.
And one thing that always stuck in my mind was, she always would say, You fight for your rights. Don't be afraid of what you're doing. And you're doing it for everybody. And don't back down.
And back down she did not. It was a momentous day, July 26, 1990. Margot and her mentor, Justin Dart, attended the signing of the ADA in Washington, D.C.
Photo of Margot along with others in wheelchairs and lawmakers. They pose on the steps of the U.S. Capitol.
The work had paid off.
Let the shameful wall of exclusion finally come tumbling down.
George H.W. Bush signs the law.
In closing, we thank Margot, and of course, in true Margot style, she thanks the ADA.
Thanks to the ADA, and congratulations to the advocates and supporters who work so hard to make our country more accessible to people with disabilities. The future is in front of us. We need to help shape it.
But we can't leave you without a classic Margot moment.
It's nice that folks are looking after each other, and that's a really, but again, just put in the curb cuts. I'd rather do it myself. But then I'm kind of an unreal cuss.
Photo of Margot as she paddles a canoe on a lake. Photo of Margot in the woods. The photo is superimposed on a photo of brilliant northern lights in blue, green, and purple. The photo of Margot recedes and disappears. A white star bursts where the photo vanished. Text: Margot Imdieke Cross, 1956 to 2024.